Hey Emily,
Hello.
how's it going?
Really well, thank you. How are you today?
I'm good. Staying cool in the Florida heat.
Yeah, that's difficult these days.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. So I guess first off, tell me a little bit about you and your business, and then we'll just start diving into details.
Okay, my name is Emily Aronoff, and my business is Dr. Emily Celebrates, and I support the development of Jewish identities and communities through music. I've been in the field for about 20 years, but became launched my own business so that I could serve multiple clients and really be in charge of my own schedule in 2021.
Awesome. And I know, so you and I met because we went through an accelerator together, and that was incredibly like a year ago. It started.
Yeah, that's wild.
So tell me yeah, man, time flies. Tell me about how things have changed for you, or yeah, just updates on how the business is going, and then we can segue into like your goals, and then we
Okay.
can talk about how I can help you achieve them.
Great. I love achieving goals. It's one of my favorite things to do. When I so I did the accelerated program through 1909, and it was really fantastic in the ways that it helped me understand my audience and think about my messaging and communicating my value. And I'd really never come at promoting my events from that angle because I'm fueled by higher power. Like because God thinks you should is not a real good reason to ask anyone to do anything. So that was super helpful. I created some packages and shifted my social media to become so that my main clients would be adults. I work with children and families, but they're obviously not the people who are hiring me, writing the checks. So thinking about selling myself to the leadership of Jewish communities. And that was been great. I wanted to sell residency packages, I called them, but where I could make a couple grand in a weekend. I'd go in like on a Thursday or a Friday and I would lead a congregation and do workshops, but I did not meet the goal of making four of those. And I'm very grateful for the 1909 accelerator program of like, okay, I had set a specific metric and now I didn't meet that metric, so now I need a different strategy. So I took on a couple gigs very recently teaching music in synagogues and JCCs, in addition to the synagogue clients that I've been serving currently. And that's been great. I'd been out of on contact field work, like direct contact with children 6 days a week. I hadn't done that since I was much younger. But my youngest child is going into kindergarten next year, so I was ready to take on more work. And I'm excited about developing resources while I'm in this role for other people who are serving their communities in a similar capacity.
Awesome. Thank you. So first I want to talk a little bit about the artist in residence program. So you said you didn't meet your goal, but like, why do you think that is? Like, what were the lessons learned there? Where were the gaps?
I really think the lesson learned is the nonprofit sector is struggling and faith institutions are very slowly shrinking. And getting the babies to sing songs is not the highest priority item on a budget when you're struggling to pay your mortgage. So I really think that my clientele just are really limited in their resources for the most part. And that's why figuring out how my skill set of working with kids and families through music could be put into, the early childhood education sort of budget byline. There's still resources. So I booked two, and what they both were great, but one of them was like I couldn't have possibly made it gone better. Like it was so perfect. And I know that that client went and told other clients, and they were like, if only we could afford that, but we can't because millennials, who are the parents of these children, are not paying dues to institutions, and those dues used to be the money that would make up how synagogues would pay me. And that was also really critical because in a different version of me would have just like shame spiraled. Nobody likes me. I'm not good enough. But that's not where I'm at. Where I certainly like maybe I'm not the best fit for every community. I think that it was really the resources of the people that I serve are extremely limited.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. So tell me about like what your like 6 month goals are and your 1 year goals are, and then like maybe how I can help you fill in some gaps as far as like the marketing, the community, the branding, like whatever it is that you think I could really help with.
Well, I think I've got a lot of, so in the next 6 months, I want to, do the jobs that I've just figured out. And so just for instance, this morning, somebody was posting in a Facebook group of like, what are Jewish early childhood Shabbat camp songs? And I was like, that is my jam. And there was all these people like, here's a song by so-and-so, or I think this, and I was like, well, I have a Spotify playlist, and I also have all the lyrics in a Google Drive document, and I have it all by keyword, and so I'm looking at all of these people trying to figure out something, and I'm like, I have the solution, but I'm not sure the best way to share and market myself. For the past year, for every Jewish holiday that's come up, I've written a blog post of like 10 Passover songs for kids or 10 Hanukkah songs for kids, 10 whatever, so like each of the holidays. So I want to take that similar content, but I don't think blog form is the right sort of medium for most either song leaders who are working in religious schools, like on Sunday mornings, and they're working with elementary schools, or preschool teachers or summer camp counselors. Like I think they're on Instagram. So if I can figure out how to take what I'm doing and share it, and also like sort of as a parallel process, if I'm wanting to grow all this, I released 5 albums of Jewish kids music, so I have a lot of recordings. So I've been thinking, can I take B-roll and add the lyrics to some cute video of happy children, because I have a camera full of them, and with a recording of something I released 10 years ago, but like in a strategic way, think about how I can use that to leverage myself differently, because like 2026, I just signed, I am full of work till next May, like chock full. So that's why I'm saying like in the next short term, I want to be recycling what I'm doing. And then so like I can sort of relaunch so that next summer I can hopefully be booking those residencies, because I'll have just a wider audience. And like the few clients that I did get, it was like a random wealthy stakeholder. It was somebody got a grant. Like there are ways that people are covering. It's just not the same way that it used to be when there was more money in the nonprofit sector. If that makes sense. I just gave you a lot of information. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I was taking notes, so I am with you. Okay, so it sounds like it's really awesome that you have a lot of work. I am happy to hear that for you. So it sounds like what you are trying to achieve right now in the next year is really like a brand building slash like Dr. Emily Celebrates awareness that is low lift and helps you grow awareness for the resources you already have, but also hopefully monetize them along the way. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that the resources themselves I would monetize. Even though theoretically, like I could consider that, I have sheet music to my songs. I could sell that. I don't know, I don't have the research to back it, but I think giving more people a song for free so that my music is being played in a synagogue, so that synagogue is a little more likely to bring me in. Like, I think that's, but that's, one of the things that we can sort of think about. So yes, just increase my reach.
Cool.
And also in a way that, like, the differentiator between me and most early childhood music teachers or camp song leaders is I am a nerd and I have a doctorate and I have buckets of data that I can cite. And so I really want to differentiate myself while I'm serving my colleagues by saying, like, and here is the background check. So, and I sort of have 3 buckets I try to draw from. So like when I either post like you're learning something about Judaism, texts and traditions, or you're learning something about child development and human learning, or you're learning something about music. So like that's sort of how I've oriented the way that I try to share information. Like if it's not, or like also I do personal mom stuff, but like if it doesn't have to do with those things, then it doesn't, I generally am like, no, that doesn't have a place with what I'm putting into the world.
Okay. Who is your target audience for this next phase? Like, who is it that would be the decision maker that you want to get?
Rabbis, cantors, song leaders, directors of synagogues, sometimes like an engagement director, they call them, because sometimes the people who do membership are in charge of like doing events. Did I say religious school directors and early childhood directors? Or with and that's all at synagogues and JCCs, which is a whole nother thing. And and sometimes it's also Jewish federations, which is a giant network. And I don't know like how much you know about Judaism, but like Chabad and Orthodox communities are not my audience. So like that's a majority of the Jewish American population are probably not going to hire me. So that is, just like because I show my elbows and wear pants, like non-negotiables.
Okay. Sounds good. Fair. Okay. And how I do not know that target, like your target audience, I do not know them very well. So how do you get in front of them? Is it Instagram like you mentioned, or is it better to do in person? Like what strategies have you already tried that work?
Social media definitely works to some extent, and that's the most accessible strategy. I'm going to two like conferences in the next 6 months, and that's the first time since the pandemic that I'm rejoining the world that way, and I'm pretty confident that that'll be critical. One's like a retreat for Jewish educational entrepreneurs, so like other people who can give my name to their clients because they're serving them in a variety of capacities, and the other one's like for Jewish musicians. So I'm hoping that those two things, and booking more workshops, which is something that I've done historically, but I haven't really been promoting, is another way to get in front of those folks.
Okay, cool.
And like a slight, this is a little all Jewish teachers are my audience as well. So like when I share about songs to sing for the holiday or whatever, they're my audience. I want them to know me. It is like, that's how my songs get into the mouths of children, but they're not paying me. They're not decision makers typically, like the people who are in the classrooms.
But the people who are in the classrooms, I assume, would have some kind of, however minor, but influence on the decision maker, like the rabbi or the cantor.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, and when Rabbi walks by a classroom and there's a whole group of kids singing a song that explains a Jewish holiday, then the rabbi's like, that's a great song. Who wrote? Like that has happened several times. And then that's how I get a gig. So that's like why. And I don't know how I'd look at those metrics. But I could, that's something that's interesting. I don't know how you measure impact there.
That could be just like a simple, how did you hear about me? Whenever you hear from the rabbi. Or, whoever is contacting you to hire you.
Yeah, most people, it was like conferences a long time ago because I was very active in the Jewish conference circuit for like a decade, but then I stopped when I became a mom. But like all of those people, we were all in our sort of late 20s 10 years ago, and everybody sort of is now reaching the ranks where they're decision makers. So I'm social media friends with a lot of people, and like that's the audience that I've been leveraging. That's where most of my work comes from.
Okay. Awesome. Final question, and then I will tell you about all my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Have you considered, or do you have a newsletter?
I do have a newsletter. It's monthly.
How do you use it?
And I use MailChimp. I promote local events. I promote blog articles. I use like periodically. I try to like quarterly do a personal update, like picture of my kids, sort of things. And yeah, so it's sharing whatever resources I've created, and Spotify links to like whatever Jewish holiday is coming up, or if it's Thanksgiving, like here's lists of songs for your classroom for the whatever things are associated with that month.
Mm-hmm. How is that? What are the open metrics on that? Have you like looked or monitored?
I have, but I'm going to pull it up really quick so I can tell you what it actually is because I don't really know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Because I run MailChimp for a client too, and I always mix them up, but it's super handy. All right, let's see what happened last month. All campaigns. I had 44% open.
Okay, that's really good.
614 recipients.
Yeah. It shows you the clicks right there, right?
Yeah, it's loading.
That's awesome. That's almost 300 people opening it. That's really good.
Oh, and sometimes, and I'm looking at MailChimp, and I also send, here, I'm going to open March. 45.9% opens and 4.5% click.
Okay. So it might be
27 clicked.
Okay, that's pretty good. It might be worth revisiting maybe like the structure of the newsletter and making it a little bit more actionable where you can share more of like more resources that that are a little more actionable. So like I like what you were saying about like the holidays, the playlists, the songs, because ultimately if that's where kind of you see your business coming from, like you should definitely be putting that front and center in a way that people can easily find it. And even if they don't click, at least for them to know top of mind like what you're about and what they can associate with you. Um, cool. Okay, so I want to go back to social media. I assume this is primarily Instagram, right? Where your relationships are and kind of where the business comes through.
And Facebook still. I have a bunch of Facebook people still.
Okay, cool.
And I mean, and they're just linked. Like for the most part, they go both ways. But also, like I get a lot of work from my personal Facebook page. Like the only reason I still update my Facebook page periodically is because there's people of a prior generation who are like, oh, she's doing a good job raising Jewish children, and therefore I'm gonna hire her to come to my synagogue, which is weird. But
That makes
I'm going
sense.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense with the age demographic of Facebook. Okay. How about so I would not recommend you keep doing blogs because people aren't really reading anymore. And even now with AI, things are becoming kind of like less and less searchable. So unless you're specifically, I was actually reading an article about this morning. Unless you're specifically going to do like stuff that is not very easy for AI to do, so maybe like writing a song and then just doing blogs or like blogs about songs or something like that, I would put less stock into the blog. What you could do is instead of writing a blog, and I know this is a hard ask for people, but like if you could read the blog on camera and do short form video, because all trends, as I'm sure you are aware and live in your life, all trends are pointing towards short form video. And you especially, since you do music,
Right.
that will really lend itself to you. So you can do like videos where you're showing off like, your knowledge. I wrote down in my notes that you can brand yourself because I like what you said, your real differentiator is like the nerd, right? So you can create video. I think
Mm-hmm.
that it could work for your brand to do like, okay, well, we're going to do like, I'm this nerd and I have all these statistics and I have this personal experience, like the kind of information that can be truly helpful for the top level makers, like your rabbis and your cantors and your engagement directors. Well, at the same time, also showing off your music. I would say like really mixing those together. And then maybe like a little bit less like just general information about like the holidays and stuff. Um, because I feel like you can kind of get that anywhere. I would like lean more into like the statistics just to really differentiate yourself as like an authoritative brand leader. Um, and then
Mm-hmm.
similar to that, so what I was saying about maybe selling something, I think that maybe you could give the lyrics away for free, but sell the sheet music and sell it like it doesn't have to be very expensive, like $5 or something. I don't know, whatever feels right for you. But I feel like if you give
Mm-hmm.
everything away for free, it will diminish your brand as like somebody that you should pay thousands of dollars to come for a weekend, right? And I feel
Right.
like if somebody has a song and they hear one of your songs and they like it, they can listen to it enough and they can either go through the trouble of like reverse engineering it, they can download the lyrics and they can kind of figure it out themselves, or they could pay you for the official sheet music. And I feel like that will kind of give people both options. Like people can say, okay, I can either figure it out on my own, and then that way they can still have the song, kind of like you're already doing, or if they want to do the official thing, like be like, well, if you want my official song, you want my sheet music, you have to pay for it. Um, and even if that's
Right.
not a significant revenue generator, I think just from like a brand perspective, that would be good for you. Does that make sense?
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's about it for now. So, what are your questions? That's like a rundown of the notes that I made as you were talking. What are your questions or thoughts?
Well, I guess my I think my audience still reads blogs because so many of my audience are like grad school people. So I guess how do you if I were to go to look at Google Analytics, how can I make a more informed choice if I'm got like I want to consider the suggestion, but I'm not sure about how else to think about that, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Then I would say go and
Like if people
go ahead, go ahead.
because like I can see how many people are reading it, so I don't know what happens if they're reading it. Yeah, so I guess that's like like how do you decide?
If your analytics show that people are reading your content, then don't stop doing it. But then perhaps do.
But like, so I've got in the past, this is the past month. So Shavuot is the holiday next week, and I had a 10 Shavuot songs for kids blog, and oh no, I just had it. It was 158 people, I think, read that in the past month.
Can
So
you
like,
see where that
that
traffic
seems
comes
to me
from
that's.
at a glance there?
I literally just had it. Oh, there we go. 10 Shavuot first. Ah, I had it and then I lost it. No, I got it this time. All right, 10 Shavuot songs for kids. Can I see where it came from? And then nurturing the whole child. That so like a spiritual children's spirituality had 58 people, and how to lead a tot Shabbat had 42. Can I click on it? Average session duration for a minute 44. So that's
Okay.
like actually
Right.
reading it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's good.
But I'm not seeing where it came from. I don't know how to look that up. I'm sure it's here somewhere.
Yeah, I would be curious to see how that is. If it's like organic, or if it comes from your newsletter, right? That would be like my main guess is probably your newsletter. Um, and then do you link?
Well, for my overall traffic search, I have that. Organic was 308 people, direct is 81, organic social 10, email 4.
Wow. Okay.
That's not
All
very
right.
good.
That's actually really good then. You have really good SEO. You must have really dialed into a niche audience who are like Googling stuff and like finding you on the page. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is not a lot of businesses nowadays. So that's good. Um, yeah, then keep doing what you're doing there, honestly. I wouldn't change that. The only thing I would stick to though is like
Oh,
maybe
okay.
do, if you're comfortable with it, do some
Yeah, I
video.
have to figure out how to get it shorter form.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
do
You're
some
100%
video
right.
and then like um just read it out. Like I know, and we don't have enough time to talk about it now, but I know that you work a lot with AI. But like for example, if you were just plug it into an AI and say like turn this into a script that will last 45 seconds or something, and then just read that out, you know? Mm-hmm.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, that's a super smart idea. I'll
Yeah.
definitely
That'll
go with
be
that
really
idea.
good for social, just because you know algorithms reward video over everything. Um, yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah. Do you have any more comments or questions? I know we're kind of reaching the end of our time.
No, that was super helpful, and I appreciate you taking the time to think through it, and even just the exercise of like I haven't been thinking about this the same way that I used to when I was in the accelerator, so I appreciate the opportunity
Yeah,
to
of
reflect
course,
with you.
anytime. And we can do a follow-up if you want too.
All right, and if you have
Oh,
more ideas, you'll tell
yes,
me,
of
right?
course.
Okay, I might. I'm gonna
All right,
percolate on these things. I
same.
love these conversations. Awesome. All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you so much,
Emily. I hope you
Vanessa.
have a great day. Good luck.
Have
Thanks.
an
Bye.
amazing day. Bye. Thanks.